My name is Shic. I'm a Kaiser physician. I specialize in internal medicine. I've been there for approximately 15 years now. I am married to Vivian, and we have two daughters, Annabelle and Isabel, 11 and 14 years respectively. I've heard about Jesus Christ multiple times growing up. I heard about him one time when I was attending a Catholic school briefly, and I remember sitting all the way in the back of the church wondering, I really wish I could eat some of those little communion wafers that all the other kids were able to take. And I kept wondering, gee, I wonder what the qualification is for that. And then fast forward a couple more years, and I'm in college, and I was struggling actually to adjust to a very new environment. I'd grown up in South Florida, and I was going to college in Philadelphia, and I wasn't used to that environment. Especially some of my classmates had come from really exceptional backgrounds, and I felt very inadequate, especially after I started attending some of the classes, and I was wondering what I was doing there. And at the same time, I didn't want to disappoint my parents. They had all these expectations for me to succeed and to do a little bit better than they had. Sometime around that time, there was a survey floating around sponsored by the Campus Crusade for Christ, and I filled it out. I believe it had several questions on it about stuff like, how sure are you if you were to die to go to heaven, and what do you think it would require to get into heaven? And so I filled it out, dumped it in a box, and within the next couple days, I had this rather large white guy show up at my dorm room, and he introduced himself. He said, "Hi, can I talk to you?" And he came in and he shared this 4 spiritual laws with me, and he came back several more times until I finally got all the questions I had in my mind answered. And finally, I had come to the place where I felt like, okay, I believe in all of this, that I want to become a Christian. After I converted, I went through this period where I kind of fell away. And that was due to the fact that my college was pretty liberal. And so I had all these questions in my mind surrounding things like women's rights, homosexuality. And so they were somewhat stumbling blocks for me until around junior year, when my friends who was in the same Chinese classes I was, he told me that there was a guy from Campus Crusade who was coming to visit him, and I started chuckling and said, well, that's how they got me. And the guy who came to visit my friend, he was extremely open to answering and helping me sort out some of these issues I was struggling with. And after that, I had this renewed zeal for God. I realized, I thought, I need to go to a church. I need to grow more. I've been doing nothing for the last 2 years here. And then shortly after graduating college, I started going to a Chinese church, and that's where I was baptized. Later on, after I was in training a few years, my father passed away. He died in a car accident, and that was, it was very painful. But, I was able to get through it. God be praised. I felt like, yes, he's comforting me. He's comforting my family, even though my mother is still far, far from becoming a Christian. But I felt like we were able to get through that experience and stay together hold together as a family. The greatest lesson that I've been having to go through for the last decade or so has been in humility, because ever since I graduated, after I finished medical school and went through residency training, I thought, okay, well, this is it. Now I'm going to be able to heal the world. And it was somewhat disappointing when I discovered that that wasn't always the case. I didn't always have the right answer. I wasn't exactly sure what the problem was with the patients. Also, having my two daughters, I've discovered again, to my disappointment, that I'm not the perfect father that I'd always wanted to be. You know, I lose my temper with them, and sometimes I'm a little harder on them than I should be. It's not about how are you going to deal with this problem in your life necessarily, although the Bible does give you a lot of advice and wisdom in different respects of your life. But to me, the Bible is really this glorious summation of who God is and how wonderful He is. And that overshadows everything else that might be going on in my life that I might be feeling down about. I'm Frank Shic, an ordinary person just trying to follow Jesus.